Well, I'm here with Dr. Jack Whittier from Colorado State University. He's the beef extension specialist there with the Animal Science Department. We've been talking about cow size and how cow size relates to feed efficiency and reproductive traits and so on. And you just gave a presentation on kind of tying some of that together and looking at some research or some conclusions from really quite a ways back that still seem to hold true today as we look at some of those relationships. I wonder if you could just tell me a little bit about some of that that's been discussed in the past and how it relates today.
Sure. I just presented a little recap of a symposium that was done in 1984 that looked at cow efficiency. And some of the conclusions from that being that the relationship between cow size and biological efficiency was not a real strong correlation. Also that reproduction is not necessarily tied as much to cow size as it is to environment. Okay, so lush environments tend to support a little larger cows. More challenging feed efficiency or feed environments tend to favor perhaps a smaller cow. So that was the data from a symposium in 1984, which I think in many cases still holds true with what we're doing with our industry today.
So it's really just matching the cow to the environment, which is something that people have talked about for a long time, but doesn't always hold true as we see with a lot of breeds, and just the kind of breeding goals that individual producers might have in the bulls that they select, that their cows over time become kind of mismatched with the environment they're in.
Yeah, I think we've learned a lot throughout the industry of the importance of matching type of cow with production environment. When a lot of new breeds came in 30, 35, 40 years ago, and they had been productive in the environments they had come from, in Europe or wherever, it took us a while as an industry to determine where they fit and blend them and modify them. And I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing a fairly accelerated uptake on composites and mixed breed kind of thing, to blend those breeds together to be a little better match with the environments.
And in terms of reproduction, of course, as you said, it ties into the environment and nutrition and all, but it looked like maybe there was some correlation, at least within a given environment, as far as how cow size ties in there.
Yeah, and that was granted. The change in breeds and so on has occurs every year as breeds make selection differences and changes. But in general, in the data that I presented, which was from the Meat Animal Research Center, the relationship of increased calving rate tend to be in the same direction as smaller cows. So cows of smaller mature weight tended to have a higher calving rate than larger cows did in the environment in Clay Center.
But of course, for some producers, just given their environment, they can probably get a pretty good reproduction rate with a larger cow if they have really an adequate forage resource and plenty of moisture, and then there's potentially the benefit of a heavier calf or heavier weaning weights.
Yeah, that's right, and because there is a strong correlation, and as we just finished the symposium, Lee Leachman made a good point about finding the outliers, the cattle that excel in traits that have two positive traits that don't necessarily always have a strong correlation, but progress can be made in both. Fertility and reproduction is a trait that doesn't have a high heritability, but it does have a heritability. And as new and improved tools like genomics begin to accelerate some of that selection and understanding what traits are involved, I think the progress that we've made will continue to be made in understanding and unraveling this whole mystery.